Welcome back to another episode of Blended Views Unfiltered. I'm DeAndre. And before we jump back into this conversation of why millennials don't do church, I encourage everyone to go back and watch or listen to part 1 of this series that we dropped 2 days ago. That way you get the full scope of the conversation. You're not lost in the sauce. But until then, join me, the BVU crew, and some special guests in today's episode of part 2 of why millennials don't do church. Peace. So I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because no, we're staying on the same topic.
Oh, I was about to say, can I say what I was about to say?
No, we're staying on this topic. So all this stuff is good stuff, right? But I want to go to the flip side of things and play devil's advocate just a little bit because we're hearing a lot of the don't blame the church stuff. So we got to go to people who actually where we have to blame the church on things because we're not really hitting on that. And I think we need to speak to more of the crowd who would be listening to this and they're searching for answers as to maybe why they had to go through what they went through, or maybe this is why they're not going to church. Because we know that aspect, right, of self-accountability. But what about when the church is directly wrong? No ifs, ands, or buts.
Give an example.
And typically,
I got you.
Great. I'm glad you asked. So, I'll actually use me in this situation.
Use you. Let them use you.
I went to a church, right? I was married at the time. I was going through a divorce.
Ooh, you talk.
I was going through a divorce. And it got super messy with this, with my ex-wife. She wasn't born and raised in the church, so I was always tell her, like, don't go to church folk for our issues. Let's go get messy. Church folk get messy in these situations. I don't want to deal with it. Unfortunately, that's what happened. And that's when the circus began to occur. And I know the first thing that jumped off in this circus was a pastor of the church, not the head pastor, but a pastor had sat me down at a Panera. And his last words to me before I looked at him like he was crazy and he got up out of there was, if you divorce your wife, you're going to die. And I looked at him. I said, is that so?
That's what he said.
He repeated it. He said, I just see this. I said, that's what's up, big dog. Your vision is blurred. I ain't. That was the beginning of the end of my thought process with this here church thing. And granted, being born and raised in the church, of course, I said some other things that I'm not going to say right now.
You might as well.
Whoa.
No, there's one.
I think we should.
The main thing I'll share off of this, but I can't say it right now because it'll be telling. But after that, I got a phone call from, I was playing drums at the time, so I get a phone call from the MD. And he was like, Miss, yeah, Pastor such and such just called. I was like, so everybody about to know what's going on behind my closed doors now? So eventually I talked with the pastor, right? This is going to stay between us and this, that, and the other. I'm like, all right, cool, big dog. Then I'm getting a phone call from somebody else. I just wanted to check in and see how you were going. You know, I'm just like, look, not born and raised in the church, but I'm also from the hood. So y'all go fool around and get messed up in there. And it got real messy. Now, that ain't have nothing to do with me looking to blame the church, or nor do I need to find self-accountability. This is the church being messy from the top down. And even going through that whole process of the whole divorce thing, you know, of course, in church terms, for those who are listening who are not, you get sat down. Sat down mean whatever post you're on, they sit you down in 60 to 90 days in hopes for this thing to blow over. And it's really, it's a man-made rule so that the church image does not look back. Because typically, once you're sat down, they ain't really pouring into you trying to help you fix or resolve or get. It's more so let's let this
a bunch of free time to do what
you gonna do anyways.
Right. I feel
but
like
in that process, they also then you have rumors that occur from church folk, and then folk that want to be nosy, and then when you end up like me, I was just like, all right, so I don't flip out on none of y'all.
I'm gonna
just exit. I'm gonna go this way. You know what I mean? Because a lot more things happen. But even way after that, I'm probably still to this day, and that was years ago.
You're still black as sheep.
You still hear things. It's just like, why you worried about my life, big dog? Come ask me. Come talk to me. Don't start no rumor, because then when I see you, it's, hey, how you doing? You don't mean that.
Right.
So now this could go for marriage,
It's
and I'm
easy.
speaking for married folk who,
Yeah.
if you're going through a divorce, I got to speak for homosexuality ality that's in the church. We got to speak to gang bangers, people who go to. Let's talk about all of these people who the church shunned, because essentially I got shunned basically for going through a divorce. Something that happens often in the church or just in this world in general.
The opposite happened to me because abuse had happened, and because the abuse happened, we went to the pastor, and the pastor asked me, "Are you going to stay with him and be married to him?" I said yes. Well, I mean, I would like to rekindle and be proactive. I didn't want to give up on my marriage, and he said okay. Because of that, he could stay on the pulpit. What about the opposite of that? Literally, same person. Just to let you know, it's the same exact person.
Wow.
It's the same exact person. So then I'm sitting here like, dang, and here I want to see retribution and fire and brimstone. Just beat him up, pastor, because I didn't went through this hurt. But then at the same time, you're saying, oh, because I decided to stay with him and work on my marriage, he gets to keep his exact position. He doesn't have to learn from his mistake. He doesn't have to, as you say, even in you getting sat down, being poured into so that this doesn't happen again. And because it wasn't, it happened again. And it happened again and again.
Okay.
So I'm speaking from the perspective of as a person who has been sat down 3 times.
Not sat down.
I was sat down, I think, 3 different times, and we don't need to go into details and specifics of everything surrounding it. But here's what I believe it is. We have given the church the power and the ability to, or let me say, the leaders in the church. We have given them place in our lives to feel like they have the right to be able to look at us and almost like tell us, okay, hey, fix that.
Past judgment.
And a lot of it is not rooted in biblical principles. It's rooted in, I don't really like that.
In their image.
And so for me, I'm teetering for how much I want to share, but I can identify with being a person who the church was my life. And when I got sat down, I felt like, what do I have? I was actually told that I was not permitted to be in the building for rehearsals. I actually remember coming to the church for a rehearsal and they told me, you have to go home. And I remember feeling like,
What do I do?
this is this is my home. Like, this is my community. And if anything, it was like I walked out of there feeling so defeated because it was like, so what am I supposed to do? But what had happened was I had given these people place and room in my life to feel like they could come along and point out stuff about me to say, yeah, I don't like that. I don't really like those pants. That shirt, I don't really like that. And I started to feel like it was okay. Finally, like, enough people in my life like pulled me to the side and said, okay, enough is enough. Like, first of all, it's God's responsibility to bring change to people's lives. That's Holy Spirit's job. But we have taken the responsibility within the church to feel like we have the right to critique and tell people what we don't like and what they should and should be doing. And majority of times, these are the people critiquing are the ones that are hiding their mess. And that's why you have so many people that resent the church. Like, when you want to talk about the homosexuals and whatnot, like, the church loves gay people's gifts. They love what homosexuals bring in terms of creativity,
Singing.
all of these things, but they hate the homosexual. Do you know how confusing that is for people? So you'll accept my gift, but when it comes to, me as a person, we don't want that. Right?
Wow.
And so what about speak to the person who, I'm gonna just put my business out there. Speak to the person who, as a boy growing up in church, who struggles with identity issues. And you're looking to these leaders, and I can remember being in a position in my life where I was looking at these people like, help me. The last time I got sat down, I called leadership and said, I'm struggling and I need help. I got sat down and I was told, we'll let you know when we feel that you're ready. You want to know what I was doing while I was sat down? The same thing that
thing
I
you was
was doing when I was serving. So I got to a place in my life where I said, enough is enough, where I give these people the right to feel like I had a leader tell me, well, you know, we got to keep you humble.
What that's supposed to be?
I am 29 years old, just started a new career. And while I was in school, I had a teacher literally look at me and say, we don't have time to teach you confidence. You got to own it and know that you're good. But I struggled with that because I had people in my life telling me, well, we got to keep you humble. Mm-hmm. So I went through life as a man thinking like, okay, well, I gotta, and at the end of the day, like humility, people don't desire humility for you. Like, because of God, they desire humility for you to keep you in a space where they can control you.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Mm-hmm. And that's why for me, I got to a place where I said, you know what? Okay, I'm tired of being in this place where I know that it's manipulation and I'm being controlled. Not that I'm sitting here saying that, and please understand, at no point am I saying there's justification, like it's okay to sin and all these different things. But the truth is we all got something.
Mm-hmm.
We all got something. Some people's stuff is just more blatant than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can smell weed.
You know what I'm
smell
saying?
cigarettes.
And so
Smell
my thing is it for the church to be what it is, like let's look at Jesus's ministry. Jesus could have easily came to the earth and built his ministry with the Pharisees, but he didn't. He built his ministry in the people that needed it the most. And they felt comfortable enough being able to bring their issues. The woman with the issue of blood pushed her way to Jesus because she knew there's only one person that can heal me. Mm-hmm. The place where this person exists, or where we've made people to feel like it's a safe space to come, we've also said, well, there's a dress code. Mm-hmm. And if you don't look this certain way, I don't know if you're going to be able to get it.
I think, oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know when I did my live when Dre was on there and I was talking about homosexuality, because I have a best friend, I have a sister-in-law, and I see the stuff that they go through. I remember my best friend came out the closet. She was afraid that I wasn't going to like her anymore. I'm like, why would that ever be? You know, why wouldn't I like you? But I feel like for me, and I don't know how everybody else is, you know, with their life and their beliefs, but just going back to scripture, and it's like we're supposed to love our neighbor. So I feel like that's like one of the most important scriptures when it comes to life and when it comes to ministry and in the church, because if we're just loving our neighbor, God got the rest of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You choose to live how you live. You're not imposing on me. You're not trying to hurt me. Why do I have to shun you? Why do I have to push you out? Mm-hmm. Why do I have to always say something about, you know, the way you look? Or it's obvious that's what you choose and that's what makes you comfortable and that's your truth and that's what you're living in right now. So I have no right to sit here and talk about somebody who's doing drugs or somebody who's doing this or that or somebody who's promiscuous. I love you. Yeah. That's it. That's all. Because if I don't, then that would make me a hypocrite, right? Because the Bible tells me to love my neighbor.
Mm-hmm. And I think that if we want to talk facts, that is the most consistent thing that Jesus talked about in his ministry was love.
Exactly.
So
He is
how is it that we have gotten to 2022 and we've started itemizing all these sins and ranking them?
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and putting value on them. And this is why, like, our generation sits in between two generations. This new generation, they don't care.
Nope.
Nah. It like they say what they feel. If it ain't real, we don't want it. But then the generation before us, they're that generation where we show up to church, we listen to what the preacher says. If he cheats on his wife, we may know about it, but we stand. So we fall in between two places where we're trying to figure out, like, okay, we've been doing this because this is what we do, but at some point, some of us are looking back like, okay, what's really happening here?
Yeah, it's been times where I'm sitting in church and I'm like, yeah, nah,
like,
I don't worry with that.
he ain't here. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that, I personally feel like it's not that Jesus isn't ready and willing to move in our church services and in our lives, but like, does he have room to?
Well, it was uncloseted. You know, back in the day, it was like, keep your business your business. Like If you like a woman, if you like a man, keep that to yourself. If you do heroin, just put a long sleeve shirt on.
No, not heroin. It's heron.
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 My bad. Heron, then put a long sleeve on. I don't want to see your little marks. You know what I'm saying? So now with this generation, they're like a show me. They're like, oh, okay, show me.
Right.
Please show me what you talking about. But with this being a show me generation, it's supposed to open up a door for miracles. Because if there is anything in fact, if they're saying, show me, let me see, that means we all have to be in a position and align with God so that we can actually show them. Jesus turned water into wine. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out what in our lives is going on that we can't turn this water into wine. And not these exact things, but it's supposed to open up the door for miracles. And furthermore, even what you were saying is that if you have a DNA strand, right? With that DNA strand, what is it, 23 chromosomes? Is it 23?
I think it's 23.
Okay, what happens when one chromosome or two chromosomes are off? Or if they're not there?
Down syndrome.
What happens when there's 2 or 3 chromosomes that's off or they're not there?
You end up having Down syndrome, right?
Autistic,
Autistic,
that's
Down
what
syndrome.
happens. And you have a disability. And that's what happens to us. We are bedded our life into a church, and that church becomes a part of our DNA. And so then when they do something wrong, then we sitting there like, God dang. And now you're dumbfounded. You have a disability with this certain church because why? Something is missing. And then what do we fix it with? Something else.
And I think we need to evolve the question from why aren't the millennials coming to church instead of why aren't we taking the church to the millennials? So at the same time, I'm sorry, we're the church. We're supposed to be the church.
Right.
And we kind of we like to escape the personal responsibility of what our role is as a Christian. And the church has to go beyond just the 4 walls. It has to go beyond Sunday at 11 o'clock, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So what I'm suggesting is perhaps we need to redefine what church is. And perhaps church might be a TikTok channel for a 13-year-old. Church might be a IG page for a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So we have to get more creative when it comes to sharing the love of Christ, because the church model that we know worked for those who hid their issues. Like y'all was saying.
The closetedness.
The closeted stuff. Now we have to learn how to minister to those where everything. I'm going to tell you something about my daughter, Maya. When she plays Uno, she lays her cards out. We could see all her cards. She shows us all her cards. Somehow this chick still wins. But she lays her cards out. And God kind of showed me, like, we have to get to that point to where we're able to, this is my hand. This is the hand that I've been given. Minister to me enough to show me how should I play my hand, or how should I conduct my life so I could be in a winning position. You know what I mean? But I think we as believers, we have to be more proactive towards gaining more fellow believers. I think we could reach people that our pastors and ministers can never reach.
But I think it starts with us being genuine.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the questions have to be presented. If we're leaders in the church, okay, well, what are we leading people to?
And I was about to say, because we never really answered Dre's question.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
In regards to, his situation, like the first thing, like that main thing is leadership. That's all leadership, and the root of leadership. Trash. I mean, we got to call it what it is.
Yeah.
Because if it stayed right there where you put it, then, because I get where you coming from. Like, don't be telling people my business, because then it's gonna go from this person. And I'm a very guarded person, so I would be the same way. Like, why are you telling them?
You're gonna lose
even
me.
now, like, they don't even know every single thing that's going on. If you don't see it on social media, you don't know what's going on. Like, period. So it's kind of hard to answer that question, like, about a person who experiences that type of hurt, because I've never experienced that type of hurt in regards to something, so serious. And then, You know, I'd have seen things on the back end, but you know, the whole never mind.
I think maybe that's where my response was actually going in response to his question was more so like you have to learn to bring a separation between, as my mother says, chew the meat and spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying? Like the church is just a bonus. Like that's something that I think the Lord established because he knows that we're human and we need community, right? But we have since made it a thing where we have put these people in position to become judges in our lives. And that's where you have to bring a separation to know the heart of God,
right,
and how he feels about me. And when I think that's the other thing too, is we don't teach real relationship. And the pandemic, I think, really exposed that, because a lot of people, when they couldn't go to church, it was like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? And the truth is, we're supposed to do what we should have been doing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, I think we maybe encourage it in some of our churches, but most people don't know what relationship looks like. Some people are terrible at relationships.
Right.
Or the voice of God.
Right.
They don't know
You know
how
what
to
I'm
hear
saying?
God's voice
And
to
if,
say
if,
anything.
if I grew up, just say, for example, if somebody grows up and they have this skewed version of their father or their parents, that's going to affect how they see leadership. That's going to affect how they see God, because they're going to feel like God doesn't love me. And that was something that I went through. I had to learn to separate the two and know that, first of all, these people I don't think are just out to hurt me. This isn't, they're just not out to get Sheldon. That's just what people do. And if you give people room to feel like they have the right to do that, they'll do that. But you have to learn to bring the separation and pursue and know how God feels about you. And I feel like that's where, for a person who struggles with that type of hurt, it's not an easy thing to do, but you have to know how to place these things. The church is a bonus. It's just an add-on.
Yep.
It's not the end-all be-all.
And I feel like that's what many people do when they get to a church or go to a church, and it's all, you know, we got praise and worship, we got people greeting you at the door, they're like, oh, you know, we got this welcome gift for you, and like you said, it's like this new world, and so people's mindset is like, this is it, like this is about to be, this is my everything, and you become so
embedded.
Embedded in the church, and the people of the church and the leadership of the church, that which it sucks, because it's supposed to be family. You know, that's how we back to that community. But I guess to protect ourselves in the times that we're living in, like you said, you can't get embedded in it. It has to be a bonus. You have to know, here's where I do my work, you know, whether that's in the church, outside the church, do what I need to do and what I'm responsible for and what God tells me to do, and my, you know, to follow through on my assignment. But I also have to know, like, I can't give you this ammo to take me down.
Chew me out.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm giving, and then as far as like Dre's situation, like, it was honestly something that he had no control over. He said, don't go talking to them, because this is what's gonna happen.
The fact that you knew that it was gonna happen is enough. That's because that means you had already experienced the hurt before the actual divorce.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've never experienced it.
Right.
I've seen it enough times to know what was going to happen.
It's like,
exactly.
dang,
So,
you knew the blueprint. You knew it.
Yeah. And you know, and then to have someone speak the words that they spoke to you, like, honestly, there is no way to come back from that, because that was just lack of leadership, good, healthy leadership, that you should be able to go. I feel like we should be able to, Pastor, can I talk to you about this? And it stays with that pastor, but unfortunately,
I don't.
So let me
the church got the gift of gab.
Yes, they do.
Can I ask your question? Can I answer your question too? Please, bro. Can I answer your question?
Briefly.
I got a question also.
Real brief, and
the
then
real
I
brief.
got to do something.
Okay, the real brief is okay. So I know one thing that I do is that I tell people when they come to me, I'm in an environment where I'm around homosexuals, I'm around everybody in this misidentity, whatever it is. And in that saying, I tell people, I said, listen, I ain't got no heaven or hell to put you in. And because I don't, I'm not going to sit here and judge you for all the things that you've done. I said, but what I hope is that you see my light. And then you see in my light that when you got a question, you going to come to me for it. Yeah. And that's exactly what has happened. I was playing flag football, and we were there on a Sunday. I did not go to church because our game was doing the church. And I remember somebody was mad at me about that. But I literally went there, and they came to me and said, Kenesha, you know, I got a question about God. And literally on the side of the football side of the football field while we're all playing, literally, I had church. Me and my best friend Tika, and we got to explain to them, no, that's not what this means. And we say, and then I end up, I'm apologizing. I'm sorry that the church did this to you. I'm like, but listen, at the end of the day, you need to find someone that's genuine. So then what did they say? Well, if you had a church, I'll come to yours. And I'm like, well, the book of Deuteronomy, that is not gonna work. So
You don't want that weight.
but I got you. When you need a question, I want to be the light that you know exactly who to come to.
And
That's all.
a part of us being, because people will see your light. People will see it. People will feel it. Because sometimes people, they see that and they feel that more than the people in the church see it or feel it. Or the people, once again, it's their image. So it's the people in the church that they like, well, no, even though I see it on you and in you. Nah, you still got this one thing.
You still
so
got
I
that
can't
thing.
do that because that ain't gonna look right with our church name.
Right.
You know, so.
So let me ask y'all something. I'm gonna do a little quick exercise, something that me and Nick did. We was at this men's retreat, and it shed a lot of light on us. All of us we work in some, whether it's business, regular 9 to 5 or whatever. What business are you in?
I'm a barber.
Education.
Nick? Jazz?
Slanging them thanks.
Yes.
I'm an esthetician.
I'm a cosmetologist.
And I am a maintenance technician.
So although there's really no wrong answer, but all of y'all are wrong. We're all in the people business. Without people, none of our work, business, 9 to 5, none of it is in existence at all. None of it functions, and not one of us makes any money if we are not in the people business first.
That's right.
It's people first. And the church has lost its touch on people. The church is no longer all inclusive either. And for that, that's a huge reason why millennials are no longer coming to the church. Church is no longer all inclusive. It's now a membership club. And unless you do whatever it takes to get to this membership club or fund the membership activities, then you're not really, we don't care about you, and it's easy to get lost in the sauce.
That's good. And I'm going to join Blended Views Church of God in Christ
Right.
today.
You know, I was gonna say something.
That was good.
I was gonna say something, and it is when there's a business. All right, so latest thing, everybody canceled Tiffany Haddish and Ari Spears, right?
Yep.
All right, everybody canceled them, right? But or let's say Target, right? Let's say you got a business like Target.
We canceled Target?
They canceled Target for a second, okay, because they had unidentified bathroom. So whatever you identified is, that's the bathroom you can go into.
Oh.
So for a minute, people canceled that, okay? But guess what? Target is still a billion dollar company, right? And the reason why is because they sell a product. They sell a product that you can't resist. You understand? So with the issue, another reason why the millennials don't go is because whatever product that we are trying to sell,
They don't want it.
so once we canceled it, everybody like, yeah, you right, sis. I ain't going back. And it's so easy to cancel because we literally are not, we have not identified and perfected our product that's going to say, you know what? I don't care what he do. I'm still going to church because Jesus is awesome. Right. So
I think it's not even so much because the thing is, Jesus being Jesus is enough within itself. Right?
should be.
It
Should be.
But the issue is when you see the people that are supposed. If you want to see what the world thinks of the church, look at look at media and our TV shows. Anytime a church is portrayed, it's always this like greasy pastor with like wanting some money, you know, we got to take offering, you know, and the truth is like some of that exists.
Yeah, I've been to a church where they wouldn't let us leave until
Lock the doors.
The tithing, the tithing.
You know what I'm saying?
The
And
tithes
so
came through.
the thing is, when you're presenting all of these things that have nothing to do with Jesus,
Tithes
people are
is.
absolutely like, yeah, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's harder to get people inside the four walls because they feel like, I know if I come to your church for who I am, I'm not welcome there.
You Y'all watch P Valley?
Down in the valley where the
I am a man of God. I do not
Oh,
watch
okay, good
Down
job.
in the valley
With
where
girls
the
getting
girls
naked. Right.
if you gonna throw it.
Listen, as
Then you know
much
she gonna shake it.
as much blasphemy as Mercedes' mom was, I respected her so much for coming out in that truck on that stripper pole. And she literally said, I
could've
told
kept that,
y'all I
though.
was a hoe. I did this, and I did this, and I did this. But that don't mean that God has not saved me now. And she actually came out and said, in that moment, I said, dang, now that took a lot of courage. And you got a lot of faith in God. I mean, I know you money hungry, but at the end of the day, she said it.
Yeah.
And then she's the one who won. She won the church.
seen that.
And she won the people outside of the church because she told everybody her flaws, and she was very transparent.
Yeah.
You know, there was no backyard stuff. She said, he came to me, he gave me this money, and I give it to you. And she shot it out while she was on the stripper pole. Now, I ain't saying pastor's supposed to do that, but I'm just saying she was
I
transparent.
was gonna say I don't want to go to no church if the
Yeah,
pastor
I
on
don't
the
wanna do that,
pole.
but
I like that what you said, being transparent, and also I like when you said something, used the analogy of your daughter with the cards. I had a situation to where a young lady was in my youth group, and she said, "So how long you gonna be here?"
Ooh, I like her. Wow. You need to bring
I mean,
her.
immediately.
Put her on your leadership
You should
team.
put her on your leadership
Listen,
team.
I'm
Literally.
trying.
I just wanted
She
to
ain't.
know.
She listen. I just want to know because
It's a revolving door.
So and so's been here. We were here when so and so was here.
Dang.
We were here and so, and she named like 7 names. And I said, "Yeah, it has been many."
I mean, you can't argue.
But then for me, I'm like, okay, I understand that, but I take my assignment very seriously. And however long God feel like I need to be in this assignment, that's what I'm going to be here doing. So you can count on me being here every week, you know, unless I'm out of town or whatever, doing something else. But you can count on me being here every week. And that was me being supremely, like, just transparent with her. Like, listen, I get it. You done had, like, she named 7 youth leaders. No. Not
y'all names.
They didn't know that
Wah,
you went to the
wah.
church.
They ain't not your name, but
Let me ask. you a
But they
question
have.
real quick.
Shut
Let me put
some other names.
I'm
Was
gonna
it
put
my
you-
name?
No.
I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
Please do.
Right, because you're in a position in which you are working with the generation, for lack of better terms. I'm gonna say this, y'all. Don't give a damn.
Knuckleheads.
Okay, they don't.
Just-
and they could care less about what you bring into the table and all that, unless you can prove it to you.
Is
They
you
go
here
by
or
the
is you
sales
not?
pitch of what have you done for me lately. Okay, so what is your plan to make sure that you're A, establishing relationship, and then B, making sure you don't lose them the moment that they turn 18?
Right. So this is what
Well, the first thing he told the church was,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, no.
No, seriously.
No, but
seriously.
there's so much
The
power
first
in that.
thing, they passed me the mic. They said, "Wade, come on up here." Everybody clapping and everything. Da da da. I grabbed the mic. I was like, "I'm Wade Hampton Jr. I'm the new youth director. Now I'm just gonna tell y'all this one thing. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey,
I
but
like
that's
it.
the
But
thing, though.
I will tell you this.
Transparency.
I was like, I will tell you this. We gonna learn together. We gonna build together. And I asked God. I said, I want to get closer to you. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And I also want to impact youth.
I give you
Because
$2.
and then all of a sudden, like in a week 2 later, pastor comes telling me, "Hey, I want you to be over the youth." What? I thought so and so was over the youth. Oh, he stepped away.
Oh, did he?
Oh,
Where'd he go?
so now I'm like kind of like in this.
Where
Now I'm kind of like in this role. Like, okay, now, you know, I have a very distinct role now because this whole discussion is what I do.
yeah.
Like, so I'm listening to everybody. I'm listening to every single situation because I'm at the forefront of these youth. Like, they're looking at me like, so what you got to bring to the table? What you got to sell me? Who you? If they even smell BS on me, they're like,
call it out.
because she checked me immediately. She said, "How long you gonna be here?" And that was like, please, I want you to BS me. I wish you would, because I'm never coming
And
back
I
to this
think
church.
the thing is, it goes back to transparency. We live in a generation of transparency. People want to see.
Show
now
me.
you won't. I mean, of course, they don't got to see from point A to point B, but people want to know, like, you're not perfect. You're not coming up in here in a suit and tie on Sunday. And my mama just told me you was in the club with her last night. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to see the real. They want to see, like, you being silly. They want to see you. You know.
They want to see me. They actually want to see me mess up too, because I will mess the word up. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'll be like, ooh, I don't know what that's talking about.
Yeah.
But
Let's read it. Let's read it again.
Wait. I don't want to veer too much because he ain't answered the question yet. So
here we go.
I want you to answer the questions.
Okay.
Because somebody is listening to this, and somebody is definitely go pick it apart. They definitely. So what can you say? And even if it's not a full plan, right? But what is your motive or intention? Be like, what are you doing to establish the relationship with? Forget the word, because at the end of the day, we in
It's
the people
me.
business.
It's me. It's people business, right?
So how are you going to establish the relationship with these young folks? And then what do you think, or how do you think you will navigate not losing them from the church, from veering away once they turn 18?
So my assignment is kind of clear to me. That has like kind of came to fruition a little bit. So like from the very beginning, I wanted to be authentic and genuine. Like that was it. And that's how you don't lose people.
Yeah.
Because people always say you have a first impression. Here's my take. You do have a first impression, a second, and a third. The first impression is like, okay, this is how this person made me feel. I don't really know what he said, but he made me feel good. Because people only retain about 15% of what you actually tell them. 85% is feeling. The second impression is like, oh man, Wade is still a good. He's an awesome guy. Da da da. Same response, but that third impression that's important, because the third impression shows consistency. And being consistent with young people, showing like I'm not gonna come in and one day I'm happy-go-lucky, and I tried it though. I did try it, and I tried a loose environment with them, with youth. I don't know if you ever worked with kids. I know some of y'all have. But you cannot allow kids to be loose in an environment, because they will run you ragged.
Especially these new ones.
The new ones, because they don't care. I'm telling them to sit down, stop this, stop that. Da, da. So then the next week I was like, you know what? We're going to set some ground rules, because y'all don't know how to act. They're like, well, Mr. Wade, you said it's not going to be a classroom. This is a classroom. So I'm growing with them, because I've never done nothing like this before. I don't know what I'm doing. So now I'm growing along with them, and my plan is to now continue to be the genuine person, but also continue to grow with them so that they don't depart from the church. It's almost like when you're raising children, if you raise them up right, they never depart, technically. They leave the nest, obviously, but they never leave from your covering. So I want them to then graduate into the main sanctuary, so that now they are understanding what's going on. Like, okay, they understand the word. They understand how to pray. They understand, what revelation means and things like that. So I want to, number one, be genuine with them. Number two, be consistent with them. And number three, equip them with the word, with what they need to be in this world, which is, somebody said it earlier, the armor of God. Showing them how to suit up, because this world is crazy. And they're at a delicate moment, because they're literally dealing with identity issues. Because this world is like,
It's confusing.
It's confusing.
Right.
Like, okay,
They
so
got
you got
many
one person,
choices.
you got one person telling me it's okay to smoke and drink, because in the Bible it says to come as you are, da da da, this and third. But then the other person's like, don't ever do that again. That's sin. Da da da. Then another person's like, well, it's not that big of a sin. I mean, if you hit the blunt one time, it's okay. It's from the earth. What? They're confused and they need clarity.
Shoot, I'm confused.
So then I had to break it. I have to break it down to them. I have to break it down to them. There are two types of wills that God has in the world. There is a permissive will and a perfect will.
There you go.
Permissive means that He's going to permit you to do whatever you want to do. He will allow you to literally kill somebody. He will allow that person to cuss. He would allow that person to drink. He would allow that person to do whatever they want to do. But then there's the perfect will, and that's how you're supposed to live when you're living with God. So teaching them the differences between these two things, teaching them what I've learned during my whole journey and everything like that, showing them authenticity, showing them being genuine, showing them that I don't know what I'm doing. And it's okay. Because you're allowing God to do what it is that he is meant for you to do on this earth. And not being perfect at it. Like, I'm not going in there like, oh, it's a flawless day. Oh, we're going to play this game. I'm going to preach this word. I'm going to tie it all together. And then we're going to have a great life together. No.
Yeah.
I don't know what this word is talking about, y'all. Let me just be real. All right. So, let's pick it apart together.
Let's go to NIT.
Yeah.
Let's call Pastor in here so he can give us a good, he can give us another opinion on what this could possibly
Pull out
be.
the amplified Bible.
There's so many different, and that's another thing that's confusing. So many different
I
translations
ain't gonna lie, that be confusing.
to the Bible that
They need to stop.
it's
Turn around,
becoming.
it's a new one.
It's a new one.
Man, I don't know if did I answer your question? Am I getting there?
You're getting there. You're good.
It's like, am I getting there?
Because I work as a head basketball coach for the kids, and they've had different head coaches repeatedly. And literally, they looked at me, and I had to prove myself. And the only thing that I could do in order to prove myself to them is to be consistent. To the point that this will be my 4th year coaching. And literally, I've been the head coach for 3 years. I stepped down this year as an assistant coach. And the reason why most people wouldn't do that, they'd be like, shoot, if I ain't the head coach, where's you at, But the reason why I stepped down to an assistant coach is because, first of all, my job, I could not do the hours as a head coach. So I stepped down. And the reason why I didn't leave is because they've had so many coaches. I've literally have been with my freshmen since their freshman year, and they have not seen that. It's unspoken of at Cheney. It's unspoken of. The women's program has had so many coaches, and it's a revolving door. And so I said, you know what? No, I can't be the head coach. Yeah, I'm gonna have to suck up some stuff because I'm not the head coach, because I ain't used to people telling me what to do. But at the end of the day, I'm there for them. And I told them, I said, listen, I'm not the head coach, but I'm still gonna be there for you.
You said something real key there. Being there for them.
That's it.
And it's hard sometimes because it's like they need you.
They do.
They really do. Then they will text me and they will call me and they will ask to be a reference and this, that, and the third, and they want your opinion on something. And
Listen,
she be like, "Is that another one?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "What is going on?" But you have to be there for them because you have to show them that you are literally there for them.
Listen, the girl from my first team, my first season, her mother died. Her mother died all of a sudden. Now remember, that's my first year. Her mom died this year. When her mother died, she called me. If I was not in the position to show her me and to show her my light, who would she was just like, Coach, I just want to go. I just want to, and I just was like, baby, no. That's not what we gonna do. And for some reason, she seen my strength and she knew that she can come get that strength from me. So it made me feel good. But the only thing literally in that position to get people to consistently come back so that they never part of it is you have to embed a foundation that's in truth and make sure that in that foundation that you are literally being exactly who you presented yourself to be. Because as soon as you waver, they're going to call you on that. And then that's when you get those questions. Oh, so how long you gonna be here?
But you know what? I think it's important too, though, because if we're not careful as leaders, that becomes pressure. And I think that it's very important that in the midst of us giving consistency, that we also show like, hey, I'm human too, right? Because here's the thing: if I'm going through something and DeAndre has made me feel like I can be completely undone in front of him, I'm always gonna go back to him. Right. If he has given me, the sense of almost like I can connect to you, like you're not unreachable. But at the same time, we also have to remember that we're not talking about us just within ourselves. We shouldn't diminish the power of this Jesus that we're talking about. Jesus is enough.
Right.
And that's just it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. Like, this isn't about you being good. This isn't about you being consistent. Like, we can be all of those things and it still not be enough. Jesus and his power is still relevant to this generation, to the generations to come, and he will continue to be. But we have to do a good job of just leading people to him and taking our hands off of him.
Correct.
I was going to say that, as he's talking about, like they're talking about, how to keep the youth, how to keep them coming back, how not to lose them. And that comes like, with leading them to Jesus, which is foundation. And that's what our generation is missing, because it's our kids who are the youth. So how they coming to church? How they getting there? If the parents aren't coming, they're not going to come.
Ain't no more church
If
buses.
the parents... We do got church.
We got a van.
church van. But
You go, girl.
I gotta go through a class.
I bet you it's filled with old people.
Really?
I bet you it's filled with old people.
Drive the van.
I know
bet
how
you-
to drive the van. I've been to her. Anyways, but
bet you your
if
church
there's
van
no
filled with old
foundation,
people.
I was gonna say, I was driving the church
What
van.
is
It
that?
didn't have no lights
I
on
bet you
it.
your church van is filled with stockings
Oh, shit.
and old cologne. I bet
Spice.
you.
'cause I ain't
Spice.
driving the church van.
Listen.
I don't get up early enough to drive the church van. I be coming on in right after praise and worship. But
Anisha, forgive them. Please.
Spice.
With the stockings.
They can get over these thoughts.
The hose.
Listen.
but no,
The white
it
ones.
You had to
is
run in there, like,
definitely
stop 'em with the fingernail
it's
polish.
foundation. It's foundation. The foundation of Jesus that is going to keep them, because we have to get out of the mindset, and even for children, life's not perfect. Why do we? And that's the problem. We coddle everything to be perfect. This should be this way, and this is how it should go. And this is how it's going to be. And when it's not,
Life is over.
We spoke about. I
Jesus-
spoke to them about that this morning because I told them that it's not okay to give conditioned responses. It's not okay for somebody to come up to you and say, "Hey, Sheldon, how you doing?" You're like, "Oh, blessed and highly favored."
Right.
No,
Stand that crap.
Sheldon, how you doing? Man, listen, I just barely made it to church. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I like
That's
that.
the
I had a flat tire. My hair ain't laid right. I ain't had no haircut at all.
gotta
But I'm
run in
here.
my
You know what I'm saying?
stockings.
But I
I gotta
made it.
run in my.
But
I gotta
I'm
run in
here.
my
The
stockings.
truth is,
But I'm
the
here.
reason why
Yes.
there's relationship here is because I've taken a turn calling either one of these people to say, I'm not okay right now. Right? And their responses made me feel that it was a safe space. Right? But at the end of the day, at the root of the conversation, there was enough that they could give me to lead me back to what I know.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a either or, it's a both and. You have a part in laying the foundation. Like you said, that's your job. You
have
know what
to
I'm
be
saying?
like-
Being authentic in
Yes.
it. But like, I still think that we have to give the power back to the gospel and back to Jesus and leading people there, whether we're worship leading, whether we telling people where to park in the parking lot, whatever it is, we have to ask.
Copping people
We
in the
have
back
to
of the
ask
truck.
ourselves, we have to ask ourselves as leaders, where are we leading people to?
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And if we're not leading them back to or leading them to Jesus, all we're leading them to is a version of ourselves that there's gonna come a day you might not be able to keep that up.
Exactly. And that's, go ahead.
I do want to say this. At the end of the day, we as church folk or those church folk or whoever, we tend to say, let's say people. Let's use Wade's example. We tend to say, well, Wade's the youth pastor, so it's his responsibility. At the end of the day, director. At the end of the
I
day,
think the Lord
we're
trying to tell you
all
something, Wade.
we're all youth directors.
Lord is trying to tell you something.
Like in some shape or form, we're all youth directors, whether professionally, some of us are parents, you know, so
That in my ministry.
all we do, sometimes all we do is dump our assignment all on one person when we can all assist him in what he's doing. Or that same young lady, there could be another woman in the church who might have overheard that says, you know what, I'm going to mentor this young lady and I'm going to assist, you know, instead of just saying, all right, that's Wade and Jasmine's responsibility.
And that's something I had to bring up to him is you can't take on everything from these kids. Their parents still have to be parents. You can't. You will have. Another pastor talked about one time I was somewhere and he talked about the single moms that are always looking for mentors for her son. You can't do that. That's not fair because you're a pastor or director to be like, I need mentorship. You still have to do what you have to do with what you have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this person can help. they can, but you calling somebody at midnight because something going on with your child, unacceptable. Because let his phone ring at midnight because somebody
Tell him,
we gonna
sis.
have a conversation.
Tell him, sis.
I don't care what it is. I'm
Tell
sorry,
him.
unless you like don't do it.
And he married. Tell him, sis.
Don't do it.
He's
But
married.
you know, a
tell
lot
him,
of
sis.
times, like Mark just said, all the responsibility is put on one person with this title, and it's all of our responsibility. We all encounter the youth. Like, you see my kid somewhere,
I got
and they
you.
act-
I got you. Most def. Like mine.
you know,
Likewise.
and that's what we don't we don't
Snatch
have that
mines, too.
anymore. That village, that's what we don't have.
'cause
Even
we go
for
to jail.
adults, we don't have the because people start acting
'Cause we
crazy
go to
and doing
jail.
unnecessary stuff.
We go to jail
But
these days.
But you should still be able to have this, because it wasn't just anybody on, but I used to go places and I used to be like, who know my parents? Or I get home and they'll tell me,
Oh,
yeah, I heard you
grown
was
man,
kissing
and I
such and
said,
such in the
so-and-so
hallway at
was
school today.
there.
And I'd be like, how you know I was kissing?
I knew somebody was there. From
You
the
know,
church.
don't even know who was watching you. But they would find out stuff. And I'm like, parents, they have, and for ourselves, we don't have foundation. It always comes back to foundation.
Or that village.
You have to.
No village.
If you didn't get it, you have to figure out how you're gonna get it. You got hurt, whatever happened. So how do I go back to the foundation? You just said they always bring you back to what you know, which is your foundation. So in order for me to be where I am, I had to have foundation. No matter what, it's your foundation that keeps you going, despite what happened back then. Once we have that and we built that, things are gonna happen. We're human. People are nasty. People in the church, sometimes even nastier. And we just have to, until we get into the church and we're the ones who are like, no, we changing this, or we start our own church. I don't know what that would be like. But it's gonna always be those type of people there. It's gonna always be those leaders there that shouldn't be leaders. Like, why are you here? Because you really ain't for the people. You just dragging your people down. We have to continue to fall back on our foundation, do what we need to do to push ourselves forward because God is speaking to you and tell you, okay, it's time for you to go back to a church, like a physical. God will tell you, but that's not on anybody else's time. That's just like, technically, I'm supposed to be in the back with him, because everybody I talk to, they always say something. I'm like,
That's a roll.
y'all want me to. But from the beginning, I've always told our pastor, I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet. When God speaks to me, and that Sunday when I get up and I walk back there with them, you will know. So you have to be able to, like you said, hear his voice. You have to be able to know. And I feel like people who walk away from the church and then they can dismiss God in the midst of walking away from the church, you don't even know his voice, because he gonna tell you what he needs to tell you. Like,
He would have told you that probably that church wasn't for you in the beginning.
and that's
If
another
he
thing.
didn't say
People
go,
think,
you shouldn't be
I'm gonna go
going
to this
nowhere.
church because everybody's going to this church. This church is popping. That might not be the church for you. I mean, let's give an example. Everybody done left our church, okay?
Ooh.
Womp womp.
And
She said it.
they forever asking, you still
How's
go
the
there?
church going?
It's going great. I'm where I'm supposed to be. This is where God has me.
Yeah.
Worry about you and yours.
I got a question.
Boom. Ain't there a sound effect for that?
Okay.
What this purple one do? I want to
Hit it. Go ahead, hit it. I hit all of them all the time because I don't know what they are.
That?
Like a
Hand clap.
What's your question? What you about to say?
My question?
Come on.
You might
Hold
have to
on.
edit this part out.
I lost it a little bit. Oh, okay. I got a question. Because we were talking about gifts and we here talking about Jesus. Why don't we have aptitude tests? That's the right word?
Aptitude.
That's the word. Aptitude tests in the church. Because at the end of the day, right?
What is aptitude?
So like
It gauges your ability to perform a task.
correct. Because this is me,
It was
right?
somebody else listening that might have needed it.
Because this is me. We all of us, right? We at one point or another, we all have identity crises, right? Crises.
Girl, at the age
So
of 33.
crises, right? So when we go to our job or right before school, when we want to know what college we're gonna go to, what we're gonna major in, they give us that test, right?
The
Right,
Maslow,
right.
the Maslow hierarchy of
You
needs.
see what I'm saying? Why isn't there something in place for us? Because you know, so that we can know where actually to be. Because just because he's in a position, why in the world does she have to be back there? Why you're in a whole
I'm his
masseuse and relaxation? Like, my God, why can't we have a yoga class?
The reason why is because we keep creating these same lanes for people to run in, and we try to fit people in places where they don't belong. There are some gifts that, like, there's room for them in the church.
Yeah.
Why can't we have Christian masseuse?
Like, why can't you just be in the back there? Why can't you, even if you...
Hold on, now we're going a little too
Listen,
far.
I want me a prophetic
Listen,
esthetician.
why? Put my lashes on. Jesus.
For the low price.
Father God, you know, like, I just want to know, why
Massage therapy fund.
why can't you be the one, even if you are back
Praise
there,
God.
why do you have to be the one preaching? Why can't you just teach the kids how to be able to center themselves, to
Can I
bring
give you-
themselves
can I give
back?
you a
The mental, like, why?
Can I give you a reason why?
Please tell me.
Because
I'm listening.
Because that may not be holy.
Oh, it's not holy.
Not only,
For her
and
to
here's,
put my
and here's,
lashes
and here's
on in
another one.
Jesus' name.
Why we don't have that test is because most positions in the church are created based on your best friend. It's a
your
popularity contest. It's not based on who's actually right or fit for the position.
Is it this one?
Yes,
We don't know
that's
what
the,
that
that's
is.
the right one.
That's the right
it's
one.
It's actually fit based on, you know what, this is my home point. When we play baseball or football, basketball, we always say, here come that team, because they play boy ball. Unless your boy is on the team, I'm not passing you the ball at all.
Right.
My boy is here. Hey, I got this position, deacon. You want to be a deacon? Oh, you want to be assistant pastor? I got this position over here at this church. So if it's a popularity contest,
It's horrible.
or it could be politics as
It's
well.
horrible.
Politics in the church.
It's horrible.
And let me see. Oh, this joker just preached the house down over there at that revival. What if I can get him to commit to being a full-time something at my church to bring the people?
It's horrible.
How can it's always a beneficial move versus it's business first rather than people.
It's horrible because
or God or
if-
Jesus.
If you're on the football team, right? Do you put the person who kicked the ball as a quarterback?
Sometimes.
No,
You know what?
there is no sometimes.
No, it is.
There-
You know why?
no, okay,
Unfortunately,
a
there
trick
is.
play, okay,
Your son
yes.
right now is playing Little League football, right?
Yes.
I guarantee you on that team, there's multiple people on that team that are in positions they are not supposed to be because the coach got his friend there and his son sucks, but he playing quarterback.
No, I understand that, but
It's the
I'm
same thing
saying-
in church.
No, but I'm saying it shouldn't
You
be
got
like
these
that
preachers who
because-
are trash and ain't talking about nothing.
I know.
They put you to sleep. They are watered down. They don't have a clue of what they're talking about.
Everything is in Mary Magdalene.
But they up there behind the pulpit.
But see, but this is what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, as a basketball coach, my job is to put the best person in the position that I possibly can. Therefore, if my post player can dribble the ball down the
Kanisha
court,
is the pastor of the church who all of her, like, she means well, means good, got a great heart, but she got 2 members.
listen,
I got a
because
question.
I mean, guess what? I
But
bet
if
you
they
the
I've been to
effective-
churches.
2 men is going to be
saying.
in an effective position because if my post player can dribble the ball down the court, guess who's going to be the point guard? I don't care how tall you is.
Hey, can we get out
you
these
got
sports?
2
'Cause I don't know
jobs.
what y'all
Either
talking about.
you got 2 jobs now. You're going to come down here, you're going to go ahead and you're going to run
y'all
down the
talking
court, and then you're going to get this rebound.
But question is this. I got a question.
Analogy for church, though.
Yeah.
In a church sense,
And
you're
it's-
the pastor who don't have a successful church.
At the end of the day, people should be in the position that they're supposed to be in.
But again-
period. Not because
But
based
what-
on their
you're
gifts.
not-
Church. That's the question.
A successful church in today's age is usually a mega church, or
Nah,
you
we
got
don't want that.
you got.
But I got a question.
That's
I
the
got a
thing.
question for
That's the
everybody.
thing. You're not. A lot of churches are not focused on Jesus, God,
And I was about to
winning
say that.
souls, any of that. It's focused on how many members do I have in the church? What does my choir look like? What does my band look like? It's the appearance. Yes, it's the
Or
appearance
they got all this
of
religion and no
yes.
Jesus.
So if my church is filled up, then guess what? God must be moving up in there.
And
That's what it's about.
And that's
just
the thing. How
saying,
many times?
nobody-
You go, but how many times you go to
anybody
a church
should
in
feel
the if we in the, like you said, we in the business of people. How many churches we go to where we got the best singer, but like you said, she don't like nobody. You come off church and you ain't smiling, getting nobody a hug.
Listen.
Oh, we got the best.
Right?
Oh, we got
Hit
the
that
best
one
preacher,
twice. Hit it.
but he
Hit
can
it
preach
again.
the word. But when he step off the
Untouchable.
pulpit, that's what I'm saying. But my
Unreachable,
whole thing is,
untouchable.
I don't think that to say like this person fits this description. I think it has to be who's the best person for people.
The best person.
But not times I'm saying like maybe the person that's the best music person might not sing the best.
Well,
No. What I'm saying is this. Hear me out. like you said, we so busy in churches of how many churches we go to. They got the best praise and worship, but there ain't no spirit moving. Yeah. But you got the best people singing, but then you might have this young lady that she might not sing as good as this lady, but she has a spirit for the people. She want to be there. She want to serve. She want to be. How many churches we go to where we overlook the person that ain't the best, but they got a spirit of the people that want to serve, and they got the heart. So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying that not can't sing that,
Kurt Franklin, and we're
but I'm
fine.
saying like they can't. I'm not saying that they're a trash singer, but I'm saying
They
are.
just not your cup of tea.
They just
That goes the same with people.
How about we put people in? Oh, I'm sorry.
But that goes the same with pastors and stuff too. You know, everybody's not gonna be your cup of tea, and a lot of times we have this idea of one pastor or one type of preaching that we forget that there's other people, and when other people come along or you go to another church and stuff is different, you like, because I'm used to this, or I'm used to that, or I'm used to the way she sings, or I'm used to the way. And a lot of times it goes back to that love of Jesus and remembering, what if that's you in that position? Because right now, in the position that we in, it might be people that's like, I don't like the way she do announcements, but do you think I care? Because guess what? My pastor asked me to do announcements, and I took forever to tell him yes.
There might be a person that know the Bible more than Wayne and know what he's doing. But if he loved the kids the best, or he has the most,
or if that's where God
told, well, then you're the best person for the position. You can dribble the ball down the court for me.
Exactly.
That's fine.
A lot of times it ain't us that can see that. Maybe
and I got 7 kids consistent.
And that's where we lose it. So we get worried about all those things in the church, like, ooh, why she up there singing, or ooh, why they got Sheldon up there singing, or ooh, Jazz doing announcements this week. You're not the head of this church, so that is not your thing to worry about. Even when people are in positions where it is their best friend that they put in positions, or they homeboy, guess what? If you got a relationship with God, that's not what you're supposed to be going to church worrying about.
It's only a matter of time before God reveals where He wants that person to go.
And God will separate, break up, remove, empty it out, pour it out, dump it on the side of the road,
transfer,
and fill it back up.
So I have a question, just to kind of shift gears just a little bit, if it's okay. Mm-hmm. This is a question that my mother and I were kind of like discussing the other night. Do y'all feel like there are too many churches?
Too many.
It is.
Yes. Way too many.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes.
Too many.
I mean, like, there is that blew my mind. Okay, listen. So this blew my mind a little bit.
Go down Hillman.
This blew my mind a little bit. When I first got to Youngstown in 2005, I was like riding around. People first of all, people told me to stay on campus. They was like, don't go nowhere outside of Youngstown State.
I met your cousin not too long ago. Your cousin was actually cutting my hair for a second.
Oh wow.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
Antonio?
Yes.
Monster Cuts?
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely cold.
He dope.
So when I first got here, I was riding around and they told me never go off campus, but I did it anyway. I was very just blown away by how many churches is in this city of violence. They told me how much violence was here before I got here. Mm-hmm. It's like, you going to Youngstown, brother?
They number 10 on the list.
You better stay on campus. Don't go nowhere. I was like, what the heck? So I'm riding around the city. I'm like, man, this city looks all right. Man, got church on every corner. All right, 2 churches on this one.
Killing. No,
church across the street from a church across the street from the other church. Okay,
same religion.
It's Pentecostals right there, Baptists is over here, Methodists is right there, catty corner there. I'm like, man, all right. But yes, to answer your question, there is a ton of individual failing churches.
So who's gonna be the one to write the letter to some of these churches and tell them like, hey, y'all need to combine with?
Somebody did try.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
Your local minister tried that, and he got absolutely blasted.
Yes, he did.
For
because
encouraging churches to combine.
People are so set in their ways. My grandmama built this church. Our family name is on the pew. Yes, we have 2 people in here, but I'm going to be here until I die.
Hey, remember that one church on the east side that was falling apart that we went into, and I was like, I can't believe this is still a church.
Oh, yes. Man, listen. We are off topic.
All right, we ain't even going there. But anyway.
I got to say it, though. Listen, I got to say it. I got to say it, though. We went in there.
It was like open the door to go to church, but then.
Brother you play the drums, right?
Oh,
he had one cymbal.
Drum. Oh.
He had one cymbal. He might have had a snare. And he might have had some kind of hi-hat over here.
Why was the hi-hat over there?
I don't know. But he was just... And then somebody was It was just
It was
like
bad. The floor, I felt like the floor was about to fall in.
It had 6 people
I was
in there
afraid
for
to sit on the pew.
a christening.
It might be.
See what I'm
Where
saying?
where church at?
See what I'm saying?
I think that goes
east
back.
side.
That
Yeah,
goes.
We was on the east side.
That goes
I'll
back.
tell you that.
First of all, the east side is another story, but
Whole entity.
Sure, like.
that goes
like the
back
east
to.
side.
The east side was
I'm cool.
I think that goes back
Y'all
to.
was that on the east side.
Black
It was
away.
cool. It turned into Hubbard real quick where y'all was at, okay? You come out that development, it's like, where the heck are we?
But to answer your question, Dr. Sheldon, to answer your question, that goes back to we have a generation that does not want to let go. Yeah. And they served their time and they did what they were supposed to do in their time. But I wonder how we're going to be when we're 70, 80. You know, will it be so easy for us to let go of the things that we're used to? Mm-hmm. Now, we're more likely going to.
We're not gonna have a choice.
We're not.
First of all, the rapture is going to come before that. But yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of hypocritical on their part because when they try to enact a lot of changes in their generation, like Mahalia Jackson, she did a run or something during a song, and people call her the devil. And they say she was singing the blues and, she was bringing the devil in the church and, all that stuff. Now, that generation is looking at ours kind of like the same thing. We're rapping.
Because we got Nicki
We're doing all that
Minaj
stuff.
singing with my girl Tasha.
Yeah.
And
No, that's a whole nother.
Listen,
subject
Kanye
all
coming
in
out
itself.
with whole albums.
Yeah, but
I did too. He was killing it.
I thought it was a new idea for church. I mean, it was different, but I think that a lot of churches could maybe take a lesson out of Kanye's book and his view and his approach. I'm not saying what he was preaching might have been right, but I just think he talks enough. But I just feel like again, some of our churches, not some, all of them, I really feel like we should just all go back to the drawing board and really kind of break some things apart. But that means that we have to be willing to let go of some things that we've been comfortable with. So, these celebrities that we have, we live in Youngstown. There are certain names you can drop right now and it's like, oh yeah, I know so-and-so. Yeah, they can sing, right? And when you see some of these people, it's like, they don't even speak. Right?
Listen,
And
I
so
won't
it
even
makes
talk
it
to you.
difficult when they get up and they say, come on, let's just begin to lift our hands all over this room. You looking like, "Dude, what?"
You didn't even say, why you telling me what to do?
know what I'm
Who
saying?
gave you the right? You know what built up? You know what built up during COVID? It ran rapid. It's the audacity. Audacity took a stronghold during COVID. You understand? Listen, let me tell you. Because
oh God.
people were at home.
What's
wrong with you?
He goes, listen, people are at home, correct?
We out here.
Yes.
Bedside Baptist, right?
Got my saltine and my I don't know if it's was it
Listen.
Kool-Aid?
It wasn't the juice.
And what it causes for it calls for a whole shelter to come down on there. It's because you was literally able to do your dirt and no one knew. You got people in the church who are really prophetic, and you can come in, they can say, I see that. You struggling with this. And because you weren't showing up in church and you was at bedside Baptist, you had the audacity to keep doing whatever you was doing, right? So now that we're allowed to go back to church, right? Guess who's still not going to church?
Right.
The people who formed the audacity.
Yep, and I call them out every Sunday.
We need to see you here.
What did you say, Nick?
You stopped going before.
Not that I stopped. I'm gonna be honest with you. No, this is real. I haven't been attending church, but I'm in a search of a good church that can feed me and that I can go to. I feel like nowadays these preachers, they don't paint a good picture of biblical times into this day and age. I go to a lot of churches that's very dry. I go to a lot of churches that they do talk about things to spare the numbers. We don't talk about the real stuff that needs to be said. And I am struggling trying to find a church around here that I can grow with and stuff like that. But I'm not willing. I'm not willing not to go to. Well, that sounded bad. I'm willing to go to a church that will stretch me and grow me. I don't want to go to a church that's just, oh, I like how this music sound, or I like how he preach. I'm willing to go to a church that can stretch me, grow me, and whatever that looks like. So I'm not against going to. I'm actually currently looking, but that's just where I am.
We all go to a church. We all go to a church. You got a church.
And
you got a
that's
church. You got a church.
okay.
You got a church. And it's so crazy because none of us say, "Oh, you come to my church."
Because he been in our church.
Say like he I think
I'm gonna do
I
that
grew
off.
up in church. I'm gonna be honest with
You gonna do
Off
that
the air.
off
You
the
haven't
air?
been. You haven't been to
But-
Impact Church at Liberty.
Been there for 12 years.
You haven't been to
You
Impact
haven't been
Church.
to Impact Church.
But
at
anyways,
Liberty.
but no, but I feel like it's okay because I feel like sometimes people get to that
Nah, actually,
point
be
to
honest with
where
I've been 'cause
you
I-
gotta.
It's
doing good
different.
things, so I've been wanting to come.
It's yeah. Y'all, I stopped going to church before COVID too.
I did too.
So,
Well, I tell you this, I got my brother preaches. I listen to a lot.
but
It ain't the same though.
I feel like it's good to know that I'm not just gonna settle and go to a church where I feel good in that moment. And that's what a lot of people do. They go to a feel good church because the praise and worship is good and this sister can sing the house down, you know, and the pastor, you know, do whatever he do. Like, I feel good, but are you really getting fed? Like, all that stuff can be beautiful and grand, but are you being fed? Just because all that stuff is going on does not mean you're being fed. If you leave and you like,
So now we're getting to the nitty gritty.
Like, I'll tell you a good story. And I'm mad that this brother ain't preaching no more. It was a church me and Sheldon attended one time where the praise and worship was good and terrible. But the pastor can preach his tail off. And he had a... since we're talking good about him, it's...
Oh yeah. Oh no. Okay, so yeah.
It's a brother that love people, can preach and stuff, but sometimes you go there.
So this is actually the
talk
church
about it off
that I really say I grew up in. It was Higher Praise. I don't know why that escaped me. Pastor Whiteside, he's out of Warren. There are very few people that I will like brag on in this way, but I promise you, he has been one of the most consistent men I've ever met in my life. He said something to me one time that like caught me so off guard, but I'll never forget it. So long story short, we transitioned from that church to Victory, I think when I was going into middle school, and it was kind of abrupt how we left. And we hadn't seen or talked to them since we left. And I saw, as a matter of fact, Higher Praise and Liberty at the time, I think were having something where like some of the people from Higher Praise were at Liberty. And that was my first time seeing him in years. And he said to me, he said he was proud of me. And he told me, he said, we're still family. Your family has just gotten bigger. And that like, it sounds so simple, but it like, pastors don't talk like that. We're like, pastors can be so territorial, like you belong to me. And then when you start going to somebody else's church, it's almost like, well, we beefing now. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I don't know if Pastor Whiteside will ever see this, but if he does, I mean,
There's pastors out there.
yeah, absolutely.
We talked a lot about sorry about that. We talked a lot about the negativity of the church, but there is pastors and churches out there. What's that?
Did you hear Mark?
You hit it with a mic.
Mark grabbed the mic.
I'm leaning back.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying like there's a lot of we just find a church that is for you, because there is churches out there that is for people. I think that we talked a lot about the negative side about church, but there is churches out there and there's men of God out there that love people, that preach great, that you can find. I think it's just your job to find that church that fits you. Might not be in this area. You might have to travel a lot. I remember these brothers right here was traveling almost an hour to go to a church.
Still do.
And this brother still travel an hour to go to a church that fits him. It's that accountability I was talking about that you have to find within yourself to find that right church. And not the church that feels good, but the church that you can grow and stretch and be who God has called you to be.
I will say for me, it was because of my relationship with church in general, being born and raised, I had a relationship with God. So a lot of things that I went through far as people-wise, like, yeah, it bothered me, it hurt, but at the same time, I never lost my relationship with God. So for me, when I look at a church, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to this, for me, I was looking at the character of the church versus what the church offered. I want to look at the heart of the church, the core of the church, leadership. I want to know what the character is and see if it lines with who I am and where I'm going. then I'll worry about how you preach and all of that other stuff. Because as a lot of people have said, a lot of people can preach, teach, prophesy, and all that stuff, but it means nothing if your heart is ugly. So I was looking at the heart of the church first before I found a church, and that's why I've been going to Akron, City of Joy. That's been- yes. So for me, it was real big looking at the heart, and I believe the character of the church starts at the head as well.
Yes.
And Pastor Maceo, super transparent, super real, super relatable, and the church resembles that. So for me, I think a lot of people when searching for a church don't just look at what they have to offer you. Look at like where you are in life. Look at your relationship with God, and then apply that to that church. If that church
That's
is
how we
not,
bring them back to the church.
if that church is not
Teaching
in
that.
alignment with that,
You have to teach
please
that.
keep it moving. And it don't matter if all your friends and family go there. It don't matter how great the worship, the music is.
Can't be scared to go by
It don't
yourself.
matter what kind of notoriety that church has. If it is in alignment with your character and everything else that aligns with your life, then go to that church. And that's what you should really be seeking out, not just everything that it has to offer.
I have a question. Kind of piggyback off of him. Are we supposed to be looking at what the churches can do for us, or are we supposed to be looking at what we could do for the church?
It's both.
I'm about to say both because lately, people I've been talking to, they've said exactly what, kind of like, how can I be used? What he said. How can I be used? Like, how can I be stretched? Because a lot of times people go places where they're not. I don't feel like never mind. I can't.
Oh, you
No,
might as
say it.
well. We've
Yeah,
been
just
too
say it.
transparent this
We're there
whole
now.
show
Yeah.
here.
I'm being stretched right now.
Yeah.
In our very tight knit church. Now I'm being stretched. Okay,
But
that's all I'll say.
Are you being stretched because there's so many positions that need to be filled, or because
I
you're
don't-
being stretched just for
I
your
don't
spirit?
believe. I believe it's for my spirit. I don't believe it's because there are positions. Because positions have always needed to be filled there. But now, yeah, and it's the patience. It's not. This is what I have. This is what you're gonna do. I want to bring this to you, and I want you to pray about it.
And I love the fact that you just said that because I wasn't told to do what I'm doing. I was offered the opportunity to do what I do. I could have said no. I could have like, nah, I ain't got it all together. I don't know what to do with that. Like I don't know the first thing about teaching youth. She don't know the first thing about, doing announcements and things like that.
Or just having your face in front of people.
Exactly.
Because you know how the church can be
Yeah.
and how things can go with the most simple thing.
We can't hear you, friend.
Oh, my bad, y'all. I just got a big mouth, so But just being in the face of the church and knowing.
She just so
What?
fine. You just so fine. I'm sorry.
Good job, friend. Good job.
But being in the face.
That's my wife, y'all. I'm
of-
sorry.
Sometimes you fear being stretched.
Yeah.
And I don't know that before I would consider any of the stuff that I'm considering that's being brought, to me. And me, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. If I don't feel like God is telling me to do it, I'm not going to do it. That's why I ain't going to say God ain't telling me to do it. I might just be a little bit stubborn because that's just my, personality. But going in the back with him, I'm like, I ain't going in the back with him yet. I'm not ready. What you talking about, baby?
You said stubborn.
I'm laughing at that. I'm looking at this one back when we just sat down.
But I feel like when you have a relationship with God, you have that foundation. You're able to know, like, you just need me to do this because you need somebody here or to. And I don't believe that is that. I just feel like there's so many things that are new and everything's new.
I love the fact that the way that things are being presented too. Like when we're trying to get youth and millennials back to the church, I don't go out seeking them because you end up in a chase. Mm-hmm. And the chase is, you're just trying to run them down, and the fact is they're faster than you. They're gonna outrun you when it comes to that because they're gonna block you off to the point where there's no point of running after them because they're putting that wall up. Yeah. Forget it. Whatever you say, I don't care what you have to say. But now I've tried everything, and I guess I give this Jesus thing a chance because it seems to be working well for you. You look pretty successful. You're pretty transparent. You're genuine. I love the way you love your wife and your family.
Like you said,
and so
your
now I want to
heart.
come your heart, your character, and I love the fact that our pastor is trying to take the personality technically out of the church, though.
As far as the personality,
I'm coming to see
right
this
for a show.
person
Because
it takes the showmanship
when somebody
out. It takes that celebrity mindset out of the church.
A lot of people, the whole church left after somebody died. Is that how it was supposed to happen?
No, that's not.
So
how
what
it's
was
supposed
we
to
there
happen.
for?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
Ain't nobody
that
want to talk about that. But.
crazy.
Ooh,
And the crazy
church-
thing though is what's kind of happening
Keep my mouth shut.
at Impact kind of already happened. You get what I'm saying? Like y'all are kind of going through what a lot of us experienced in, well, not even that, when Liberty first, and I hate that we're even getting into the naming, but like when Liberty first started, I can literally remember Pastor Locke having almost like the same attitude that you even said, like, we felt, not even in a disrespectful way, but Pastor Locke had this way about him that it was almost like, y'all, we doing this together. And we felt like a family, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, of course, transition happens and things. And so now,
Y'all portrayed as a family too.
it just,
We can see. I wasn't there.
yeah, it just,
and
like,
I could see it.
genuinely, like, you pull that carpet back at 114 and you'll see where, like, a lot of us wrote down what we saw, what we were believing for the church. And so, again, I think that, I haven't had the opportunity to come and visit in the time that, Pastor Mike has been the lead pastor. But here's what I know, right? And this is what I've always said, I think, for anybody that I've had the opportunity to talk to about it. I think that Pastor Mike is in the best position, not because I'm saying he doesn't know what he's doing, but I know he's in that place where he's like, you know what? I can't do this just in my own strength. That's the best place to be.
The best place to be.
You know what I'm saying?
And he says that. And
says it
I
all
feel
the
like
time.
that's what, and with the people who, people left for various reasons, whatever.
And not even just millennials.
I feel like we need to have like an after podcast because like
Turn that button off.
Yeah, because even my church, that's what
with
happened to
the
ours.
people who, with people leaving, and you can get some of the reasons. But anyways, but people forget that
gonna say like
But this
that
has a lot
what
to
they're-
do with when people leave. Keep,
listen,
they
keep
get
going.
used to what they get used to, but they forget where that very person, you came in the midst of where that person had grown to. So you didn't come when they were learning.
Absolutely.
You didn't come when they were getting their feet wet.
Absolutely.
When maybe they were drowning. You came when everything was boom.
The
So-
position. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
to like
This is the second.
this is really the second wave of this, and that's why, again, I know the church will do well. Again, not because Pastor Mike doesn't know what he's doing, but I think when you stay in a position of, if God does not like do this,
It's nothing. Right.
It's a desperate.
and
That's
that-
the position I'm
it's a
in.
desperate-
and when you said
It's a
that, I
flat
felt like that was
desperateness.
the best response because, again, like, we talk about all these things to like get people in and get them attracted, but like, you're a human. You gonna have bad days,
Right.
Because if God don't do Sunday morning with them youth or Wednesday evening with them youth, I don't know who doing it.
You know what I'm
Because
saying?
me personally,
Right.
I'm like, woo.
And
Jesus.
and I feel like it allows the bad fruit, what they say, it's gonna fall away.
Yeah, I think you should cut that.
I
whole
know.
message.
I know.
He said no.
So all right. So
No.
That's funny.
But it is.
Yes.
But it
Look,
needs, this type of
let's throw
conversation
some other
needs to
skin
happen.
in.
It needs to
Let's-
happen. because
we could throw some other skin in the game because I went to Calvary, Mount
oh
Calvary.
yeah, the same thing. Oh yeah, they went through.
When Bishop Wagner left,
Yeah.
not left. When Bishop Wagner died, everybody was gone.
throw some skin in the game, too.
You know what I'm saying? But
No, because we went to Everlife and the same thing happened.
It wasn't.
Literally, the church went over.
When he died, it just was kind of like it was like a missing piece, and it was like you can hear something, but it just was like, oh my goodness, like I can't figure it out. And then we actually went through a pastor, where you got to pick your pastor, and it was kind of like they auditioned.
Like a
no,
lottery?
they literally auditioned. That's what it felt like. It was literally. It was,
did that every
listen,
They did that
it was it was literally like an election. Now, listen. The thing about it is that the people that you thought should have gotten it, they didn't. And so
Actually,
God
now that you say
prevailed.
That is true because
But-
Calvary had. I mean, like
But God prevailed through it. And that's why Bishop Tyson is there. And literally, Bishop Tyson was the best person for the job to me, just for the simple fact that he took out the hierarchy. Literally. It was like he literally ripped it out and just like, listen, we're getting back to the beginning where we're coming to God for who he is. I don't care what you wear. And in a sense, like last Sunday I went to church and my man and his wife had on sneakers in the pulpit at Mount Calvary. It was like, what? Y'all got on sneakers? And it was bad sneakers.
that's different.
They had on
That's
they literally listen,
even I'm not even from here. That's even, I know that's
husband and wife had on flat out sneakers, and I'm talking like they were wearing jeans in the
Payless
pulpit.
sneakers or like Jordans.
Listen, they was sneakers. It was sneakers. It don't even matter. They were sneakers, like Converses. They were like Converses or something. They were Converses or something
New
like that.
Balances
At the
dope.
end of the day, if you know Mount Calvary from the beginning of time, you know that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to wear lipstick. We weren't allowed to go to the movies.
Y'all
We
couldn't
weren't
wear
allowed
pants
to. We
either,
couldn't.
right?
We
Right.
couldn't wear pants. Listen, I went to church in some jeans and I felt fine. It was great. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it was it.
I wear jeans every
It's
Sunday.
it's a newness for you to be. It's a newness for you
Praise
to be
the
in
Lord.
leadership and to build that new authenticity
Yes.
for the youth. And it's gonna be something that sticks. And however you guys do it, it's gonna definitely mold. So I understand that imbalance you feel and the balance that you
So-
feel with it.
All right, so we're gonna start wrapping this up.
Yeah, because you got to cut that last part out.
I'm gonna just cut out just this part, just the last part. The rest of them leave as is. So listen,
He's not gonna cut it out. He made me pretty much say a lot of stuff about myself that I didn't mean to say. He kept it in. He publicized it for
listen.
the whole
Here's why.
world to
though.
hear.
I enjoy when people hear real, and a lot of time, that's the best thing. Even people who say they don't want to hear certain things, they really do. They just can't admit it because of the position that they're in. So that's why. But wrapping this up though, what's something we gonna do? No, no, no.
It slipped. I didn't finish it.
We're gonna go around the table. Brief. We're gonna stay brief with this one. All right. Let's get some brief, and we can conversate about it, or just everybody go individually. What are some things that we could do? I know we've sprinkled some amongst the last 2 hours, 40 minutes that we've been doing this. What are some things that we can do to help, like us, our generation, like us? What can we do to help our generation and the generations after us come back to Jesus and come back to church?
Continue to show our hearts, like you said. Continue to show our hearts, our true character, and let them know that things aren't perfect. They're not gonna be perfect, and it's okay. And they can come, what they say, perfectly imperfect. Like you can come that way as you are. I think the way the world is right now and social media, it has presented that perfection. So people forget, like we're all growing and we're all here for one another. So just continuing to show our hearts and giving that daily, no matter who we come in contact with, and being the light eventually, because those individuals have to be ready. Yeah. They'll come.
For me, I would say two things. Find a mentor, find a seasoned person that you can trust, that can pray with you, that you can share your life experiences with. And then also be a mentor as well to somebody that's under you that you see their lives and you see them going through some of the similar circumstances that you did. And that's how we retain and keep people coming back.
That's good.
I say I agree. We need to remove the masks in church, and let people see your heart. So I agree with what Jasmine said, but also I think we need to put the power back where it belongs, and that is Jesus and the power of His Holy Spirit. and allow the Lord to lead and build his church, which he's already promised that he will. We have to take our hands off of things and stop trying to manipulate people, situations. And again, I think that when we get to a place where we kind of strip away all of the superficial parts of church, people will be ready and willing to come back, because people love, their beef is not with Jesus. Their beef is with the people that are misrepresenting Jesus. And I feel like, again, the Lord is he's ready and willing to do what he does. We just got to step out of his way.
That's one thing I was gonna say is just relinquishing control over anything that has to do with the church, because at the end of the day, we know that Jesus is the head.
Yeah.
God is going to do what he wants to do in this time, in this season. But we have to really just take our hands off of the pursuit of the young people, because like I said, once we start running after them, they do what? They shut down. They shut us out. They block us out. So what we have to continue to do is, like we said, take the mask off, show our hearts, and be authentic when we're doing that. Be genuine when we're doing that, and let them see this shining example of this person that's living the best way they know how. Not no facade, not no fake, phony, indifferent type stuff. This is who I am. Show them this is who you are. Because I'll respect you more if you just didn't lie to me. Basically, that's what they say to you. So it's like, just show them who you are. Don't chase them down. They'll come. They'll come back. And you have to just believe that Jesus is going to be the way that they come back. And all we can do is lead them on the ways that we know best. And like you said, take your hands off. Like, this is what I know. I'm gonna show you my light. This is what I know. You like it? Hey, we can walk together. If you need me to walk with you, hold your hand. Believe me, let's do it. But be genuine about that. Right. If you say you're gonna be there for somebody, be there for them.
I would say that one thing that we need to do is to be open to change. Realizing that this is only for certain things only happen for a season, and seasons change on purpose. That it's important for the grass, the trees, and everything to get cold. It's important for that because it makes things that are supposed to die, so that new life can happen. So I would definitely say just being open that things aren't going to always stay the same, and it's time for us to, when it's time to evolve. When it's time to change. When it's time to be stagnant, and just leave it at that.
I would just say continue to be the light in this world of darkness as best as you can. Let your light shine without having to say a lot of things. Be that person who this world needs to see. I heard a person once say, even a match can illuminate a dark room, but a dark room can never overtake the light. So I think just continue to be the light in this world of darkness and let people see you and then ask you, hey, man, what's so different about you? And then you can say, I live for Jesus. I go to this church, and this is what we're doing here. But let that light shine through you onto other people.
I appreciate y'all, jokers. All in all, I hope that everyone listening to this, watching this, has gained some insightful information. Again, I'll say this, the same thing we said at the top of the show. We didn't do this to bash church people. Just simply something that we needed to discuss to shed light on topics that are not often talked about publicly, and definitely not over a pulpit, definitely not through social media at all. But hopefully there was a lot of information and a lot of things that you guys could take away to benefit you guys to start healing, to help you get through your healing process, to get back to Jesus, to get back to church, to get back to people, like-minded people, and get back to trusting. So as always, thanks for tuning in. And Shamari, what you talking about? Oh, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Blended Views Unfiltered. Play the moments, pause the memories, stop the pain, keep the happiness on repeat. Peace.
See y'all.
What's up?
BVU fam, we just wanted to take the time to thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Blended Views Unfiltered.
Because you know we love y'all.
And we miss y'all too.
Thank you for your support.
And we want you to take time out of your busy day and go check out our TikTok, our Instagram, and our Facebook. And for those of you who are not listening or watching on YouTube, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe.
And we also got, listener letters. So if you guys ever have a question that you want us to address, if you ever just want to write in and say, you know what, Nick, your hair is always on point, or Big Mama is so funny, or Special K is so crazy, or that Dre always getting at the
Who
women.
is Special K?
Special K is crazy. But you can write us at info@blendedviewsunfiltered.com. That is info@blendedviewsunfiltered.com.
And always remember,
Play the moments.
Pause the memories.
Stop the page.
and keep the happiness on repeat. Peace.
Peace out.